Here's the thing about these machines. They change the models on you, and it's like anything else. They change the models on you so often. Hey, what's up, dudes and dudettes? Brad the Fixologist here. This is my beloved Delonghi Magnifica Espresso machine. As you can see right here, it has a broken off knob, and worse than that, the actual shaft that the knob sits upon is broken off. It's cracked in half and no longer works. So we're gonna have to replace this entire valve assembly. There's an assembly that includes this piece that runs up inside of here, but first we've got to get all this off, take it all apart. I'm not even sure how to do it. I know there are about 6 screws on the rear. There's one right here, very tiny one, but other than that, I have no idea. So we're gonna have to figure this out together. Okay, like I said, there were 6 screws on this rear. I've already taken 4 of them out. These 3 down here, this one, and we've got 2 more to go. Okay, this side panel just slid backwards and off. So that was just held on by 2 screws, this side panel. That does not allow us access to what we need, but it does allow us access to more screws. I never owned an espresso machine before this machine. This was a gift from my wife. I don't know, it's probably been about 4 years, something like that maybe. But I have used this machine every single day, many times a day. I really enjoy making espresso. Decent coffee has become a guilty pleasure. Got 2 more screws here. That should help us get this front panel off, and we got to be careful about not pulling this ribbon cable here. As a matter of fact, it looks like there's excess ribbon cable that's running to this, so I'm going to free up as much of it as possible. So if I free that up right there, I should be able to just take that off. I could even probably just unplug it from the board. You know what though, I'm gonna leave it. You know, there's a main motherboard in this thing. When this goes, that'll probably spell the end. Here's the thing about these machines. They change the models on you, and it's like anything else. They change the models on you so often that it becomes impossible to get parts, because they will make models that have exclusive parts to them, and they'll redesign the parts every time they come out with a new model. And when they discontinue a model, then you no longer can get these parts. They do this every couple years, and it pretty much forces you into a situation where you're having to either track down old parts from eBay or an old machine that you can take apart to repair your machine, or you just have to upgrade to a new machine. I don't particularly like this machine the way it's built. It's a consumer grade machine for sure. I mean, you see real nice big all metal chrome steel in cafes, real nice big ones with parts that you probably can get more reliably. But as for something that's more affordable, I think these are in the $700 range, maybe $700 to $800. And like I said, it's been working very well for a number of years, but just recently has developed some problems. Okay, so this front piece comes, and I just broke something. What did I just break? Oh no, that's just a piece of the shaft that broke off. But I mean, you can see how just kind of chintzy that these knobs and everything are. They're just really, they're not particularly well made. So that's one of the problems with this machine. It's just really plasticky. And yeah, I didn't even bother to clean this thing before I brought it in here. This is going to be something that I need to do as well, is take it all apart and clean it. But this right here, you can see this is all one piece. There's the frothing valve. Still has milk on it from the last coffee I made. And then it leads up here. We got a couple screws holding on that piece. Culminates up here in a couple of electrical terminals here for this switch. And then we've got also a water line that comes in up here on top. Now the new part is off of a different machine. I went to try to find this exact part for this exact machine, and the part was renamed. So the part number, I'll put it up on the screen what the old part number was for this one. They no longer make this model, but they make one that's almost exactly the same. It's built the same, it just has different cosmetics, and they rename it a different model. And then when you search for parts for this model, you can't find parts because they've they spruced it up a bit, and they changed a couple of cosmetic things and called it a new model. So you can still get this part for this model, but it looks different now. I'll show you. So here's the new part, and as you can see, it's got a plastic spout down here. It still kind of comes apart like the old one, but again, it's more plasticky, and it's a little bit longer as well by the look of it. We have to take these off, obviously, so we'll remove these terminals. Okay, And then this piece here, okay, so where the water line comes in, there's a piece of metal here. You can see it's got two ends sticking out on this side. It's just a bent piece of metal in a horseshoe shape. And if I push on this, you see it coming out over here. I can grab that with a screwdriver or something. Just get something in there and pry it out and try not to lose it. Okay, now this should just come right out. It does, and it's got a little collar on there for sealing. So now we'll remove our 3 screws, and at this point I'm looking at this and I'm just hoping, because I'm seeing this set in here kind of sideways, and I'm hoping that this new part conforms to the same shape, because if not, I might have to do some customizing of the way it sits in here. And I hope that's not the case, because I don't want to have to go customizing something just to get it to fit. Okay. Right there. There's a little tab that this side sits on. Looks to me like these are going to be identical parts. Everything functionally is going to be the same. Looks identical, with the exception of this bottom piece. And if I wanted to, I could even remove my old bottom. If I liked my old bottom piece better, I could remove that. This little pin, just get in here and pry. That pin secures in the this bottom piece right there, and it's got its own collar. And I could actually put this on the new part if I wanted. But you can see what happened here. This broke off because I started using some pliers because I was desperate for coffee, because my knob broke.
And the girl's like fucking crying. And
you can see how plasticky this knob is. You can see it even spreads apart, but it has these knurled bits in there that interlock, these splines that interlock onto this piece, and it works fine as long as this never falls off. But what happened is it fell off and I didn't realize it, and I spun it a couple times. This ended up breaking. So this right here is crucial. This is crucial to have on there before you install this onto this shaft, because if you don't have that, this plastic is just gonna wear down. Like I said, just kind of a really chintzy way that they've made these, and I'm not a huge fan, but it is what it is. And these are very stiff to turn. I don't know. A part of me wants to flood this with like some WD-40 or something, like just to get it to loosen up some. You know, something. Maybe some food grade oil of some kind. I don't know, maybe something. It needs grease. It's just extremely tough to turn, which I think they want the valve to be tough to turn. They don't want it to be real super easy, and I get that, but this thing is so tough to turn. It's putting a lot of stress right here, and on this, that's a lot to ask this piece of plastic to do. And this right here, it's a lot to ask it to do as well, over and over and over again. It's the first thing that's broken on this machine, so that tells you something. I don't think it's very well engineered. You know, I'm kind of worried about the switch, because that's an electrical switch, so you can't really submerge this in anything. I'm going to remove the switch. So there are a couple of tabs that this goes down into to keep it aligned, because it has to be in a specific location, because when this turns, this actually hits the switch. Okay, so we're going to remove that. Now this whole piece is nothing but just mechanism. We can actually submerge this into something. I'm going to try some oil in this and see how it goes, and rinse it out really well, and just see if I can loosen this up some, because it just seems to me like it's very, very stiff. Okay, so I soaked this in some water. I put a little bit of oil on it to see if I could loosen it up some. It really didn't. I'm thinking there's a seal in there, which needs to remain tight probably for that to operate properly, but just out of curiosity, I want to see exactly what's in there, so I'm going to take this old one apart. And it looks like there's a couple tabs here on the back of it. Well, that one's broken. That's why I didn't want to try it on the part that is new. I'm going to go ahead and purposefully break this other tab off so it's out of the way. Let's see if we can pull this out of here. It's coming slowly. Okay. There are several rubber gaskets in here, and they are in a almost a corkscrew shape to allow water into certain areas and not into others. I've got a lot of scale here, a lot of water scale right there. So yeah, I would say because of the way that these seal, there's probably going to be no way to lubricate that and also keep it sealing properly. It's basically rubber against plastic. So anyway, that's what's inside your Delonghi valve assembly. Yeah, it's super stiff to get in there, super stiff to turn. One thing I'm definitely going to do, I'm going to save that switch right there in case that switch ever goes out. I'll have a spare. It's always good to keep these micro switches on hand anyway because they're used in a lot of different things, including in my Jaguar. There's got some of these. But you see these in a lot of equipment, so I'm going to keep that around. All right, let's get the new part installed and make a coffee. That's the whole design of this anyway. My whole point here was to have a damn coffee. Have not had my coffee yet, so I am a bit upset at the world. I could make an iced coffee, which does not require the frothing, but that's all I've had the past couple weeks while I've waited for this part to come in was iced coffee, and I'm kind of sick of it. Okay, so this goes in there with that sleeve, and then this, we've got to push around it to hold it. Okay, now that's there. This goes here. Hopefully it was, there, good deal. That's a hard screwdriver to use. This shouldn't matter which lead goes to which terminal right there. It's just a switch, it's on and off. Alright, so there's the new part installed. Being inside of this will also give us a chance to check out the grinder mechanism. Even though all the cogs are plastic and whatnot, it's still probably gonna last longer than just about everything else in this machine. Here's the hopper that comes down. You see where all the beans sit. There's where the beans go, and then they go down into the filter down to the hopper here where they're ground up and they're made into a little pellet, and then when the pellet is spent, it ejects down into the front there where you can extract it all. Let's look at the rear of the machine too while we have it out. Here are the motors. There's a mechanism that goes up and down that extracts the pellet of coffee after it's made. There's another little, there's a pump right here. This looks like it's pumping water. Water goes in over here, comes out down here. It looks like there's a filter over here on the side as well. Okay, so the water comes in here and there's a filter. Got a broken clasp for that filter. I don't know how that happened. There is some way that this machine senses when the water is out or low. It almost has to be part of this mechanism somewhere, but I don't see it. Because it will tell you when the water's low and it knows to shut off. It would probably be maybe this right here. Looks like there's 3 wires going to it. Perhaps one is a sensor. Maybe that's the sensor right there. That's probably the sensor right up in there for the water level. I believe it is actually, because it's down around the level where the water gets to when it senses that the water's low. It sits right in here somewhere. I was thinking there might be a window, so it did it with some kind of light sensing or something like that, or I don't know. I would say that has to be the sensor almost, though. What principle it uses to sense the water level, I don't know. On this side of the machine, this is where the steam comes from, is where it's generated. So there will be a heater somewhere along the line there, and I'm not sure exactly where that is. Right there. That's a thermostat of some kind, I think. That's what it looks like. That might be the heating element or one of them. And then there's another one up here. Yeah, those are probably heating elements. Okay, so that's where your hot water. And then it takes off hot water from here to feed the coffee maker. But it also gets hot water up to the steamer out of here, and after it's gone through whatever's in this thing. I mean, it's a pretty sophisticated machine. You can see why these cost so much. I mean, there's a lot to it. While it's on a micro scale, there's as much or more to this machine than there is your typical dishwasher or other appliance in your house. The only other thing I can think of that has this much plumbing and electronics and everything in it is like a steam vac. Steam vacuums, they have a lot of this kind of stuff, and there's a lot to those also. But they don't cost near what this does. Well, I take that back. They can be expensive. But there is a lot to one of these machines. And hopefully, if somebody's having problems, maybe this will give you some insight into what your problem might be. I'll just try to get some photos of this for anybody searching for that sort of thing. Maybe you need part numbers. I don't know. But I'll publish this just in case it ends up helping somebody fix their machine. there are some capacitors there, so you know, eventually one of those will blow its top and we'll have to come in here and do something about that. All right, the one thing I will say for this machine, the one thing it's got going for it is easy to open up. You only have 2 screws here on the back that hold this back panel on, these middle screws. The 4 that are on the outside are for the wings, and those are real simple to get off. You do have some additional screws if you want to get the front panel off, but I would say overall this is one of the easiest machines, modern machines, to kind of get into and start working on, just simply because of where they put the screws. They're all really obvious. There's not a whole lot of, you know, manufacturers also, they want to put things that are plastic together with a lot of clips. You know, they clip the pieces clip together and then you can't find the clips and you have to run, you know, tools up underneath things and pry in places. You know, unless you have somebody show you where all those places are, it's difficult to get it open. This is not the case with this. Okay, so no repair is ever without its problems, and the problem with this one is, you see down in there, there's a little O-ring, little rubber O-ring. This part does not have that O-ring, so when I hook the line up to here, it's not sealing properly. So we're gonna take this O-ring out of the old part and install it in the new part. That one right down in there. Okay, this thing just got done with part of its descaling procedure. I'm in the process of doing that. To descale one of these, you turn it on, you press this button until all 3 of these lights come on, then you're in descaling mode, then you fill this up and add your descaler in there at the same time. The descaler solution I use is this stuff. I got it pretty cheaply, I think, on Amazon. That's what I go with, but I mean, you can go with the Delonghi stuff if you want. Once all of that is full, then you open the wand and it will squirt out some and then it'll stop, and it'll be kind of weird for about, it'll seem like, you know, several minutes before it actually starts up again. So you actually have to wait until this completely runs out of water, and it's going to take up to 15 to 30 minutes, they say. This part's done. Now I need to fill this up with just water. So we're going to turn this to the off position again. We're still in descaler mode here, but we're out of water. So we're going to dump this. We'll fill this back up with water and I'll come back to you. Okay, we got a full thing of fresh, clean water in there. I'm gonna put my dirty pan back under there. I didn't bother washing it because I gotta wash it anyway after the descaler's in there. Now we're just gonna reopen this and should go. Okay, we're out of water again. So now we, I think, can turn this off, and the descaling is complete, and we no longer have the descaler required light on the machine. It's actually a bit late in the tonight to be making a coffee, so I'll put this all back together. Tomorrow morning we'll make a coffee, and yeah, we'll use my freshly serviced machine. Okay, here we go. Freshly cleaned, restored to working order. And I did end up using the old knob. The old knob actually worked fine once you got that wrapped wire around it. But this is a new one, a replacement for the future, in case I ever need it. I might send it back because I think this thing was over 20 bucks, just that knob. But hey, you might think, oh, that's way too expensive. Why would you have one of those machines? Well, if you enjoy coffee, you drink a lot of it, you know, try going out and buying a coffee. It's like $5 a pop now at least. So, no way. This is way cheaper. Always a double. Anything else is a waste of time. Okay. Now for the milk. And I'm out of milk. That's probably enough though. I like to swish all the foam off the sides of the cup. Well, my small cup doesn't fit underneath there anymore. I might saw that thing down because I don't like how low that goes. I don't always do this, but you can also pull that outer piece off and drop it in your cup if you want it to soak. And then next time you come back to it, you just take that out, rinse this off, and you're ready to go. But okay, and because this is an older model, then the newer model's been updated with different cosmetics. I don't know if the new part is gonna match with that part or not. I'll just have to cross that bridge when I come to it. But anyway, that'll do it for this one. Hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, hit thumbs up, subscribe below. And for now, we'll see y'all later.